Good afternoon, and welcome to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I am your host, Kevin King. He is I, and I am him, the 800 Credit Score Man himself. And again, I want to thank I start off every show, really, thanking each and every one of you for coming through and listening to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. And you have no idea how much I really, really mean that. So I don't just say it because it's part of the intro or what have you. I absolutely really mean it. It's from the heart. Thank each and every one of you for your listens. So since we are at the top of the show, and I'm thanking you for coming in and listening, I do have an announcement. So if you follow me at all on any kind of social media, if it's Instagram, I'm at 800 Credit Score Man on Instagram. If it's Facebook, it's at 800 Credit Score Man on Facebook. The group on Facebook that I participate with is Credit Score Comeback. So get to that group on Facebook, Credit Score Comeback. That's Credit Score Comeback. Get to that group on Facebook. And then on Twitter, I'm at Credit Score _Man. So if you follow me on Twitter at Credit Score _Man, I will absolutely follow you back. So if you follow me on any one of those social media platforms, then you know, because earlier this week I teased a little bit about I had an announcement coming for the 800 Credit Score Man Show. And so that announcement is that the 800 Credit Score Man Show has been added to yet another platform. So it's been added to Stitcher. So if you're not familiar with Stitcher, it's similar to a Google Play or an iTunes. So you can get the 800 Credit Score Man Show on Stitcher anytime that you want. So some people are not familiar or they don't know how this podcasting thing works. So let me kind of explain it a little bit, because I have people that actually listen to me on Spreaker.com, where I am 1:30 Central Standard Time every Saturday. So they listen to me there. And then you can catch me on iTunes. You can catch me on Google Play. You can catch me on YouTube as well. So you can't see me, but you can hear the show on YouTube as well. And then now you can catch me on Stitcher, and that's STITCHER. That's Stitcher. So you can catch me there. So a podcast works similar to, let's say, your DVR. On your DVR, though, you have to actually record something. So you record it, and then you go back later and, you watch whatever you want to watch. However, a podcast more is like a on demand. So let's say you did not record How to Get Away with Murder, and that's one of your favorite shows. So you can still, if you have this option with your cable, you can still go back and you can see How to Get Away with Murder. So you can go sit down in front of your TV and you can press on demand and you can see that particular show. That's what you can do with the 800 Credit Score Man Show, because it is podcast. So some of you, it's 1:30 and you're like doing something else, and then so like at 1:35 you say, oh man, the 800 Credit Score Man Show is on. I've got to tune in. You won't miss a beat. So it doesn't matter if you tuned in on Spreaker.com or if you catch it on iTunes or what have you, you won't miss a beat. The show should start for you from the very beginning, even if you don't log in at 1:30. Now, one of these days, that's actually going to change. One of these days, I'm going to operate a chat format, and it'll be actually live at that time because of the chat format. And so you may miss some of the show if you're not logged in at 1:30. But of course, I will give you all of that information when the time comes. All right, so thank you. I got all that out of the way. Thank you for sticking with me. So what in the world are we going to talk about today? Today we're going to talk about, I've been talking about goodwill letters to some of my clients, so today I'm going to discuss what is a goodwill letter. I'm actually going to read to you a goodwill letter that I put together. It's very short. I believe that less is more oftentimes in these kinds of situations. So we're going to talk about a goodwill letter today. What is that? When you should use it? Who do you send it to? All those kinds of things. Then we're also going to discuss a statement of explanation. So should you write a statement of explanation and have it added to your credit reports? And is it a good idea? Is it not a good idea? And then also, what is a statement of explanation? Some of you guys are out there like, I don't even know what that is. So we're going to talk about that today as well on the 800 Credit Score Man Show. And then last but not least, of course, we always talk about disputes. It's one of the ways to get some items off of your credit report, to file a dispute on those items. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Also give you a sample letter when it comes to writing a dispute as well. And then, of course, we're going to have a question of the day in the middle of the show as well. So let's jump right into it. Before I do that, I got to give one shout out before I jump into the goodwill letter. I want to say congratulations and best wishes to Mr. and Mrs. Lee Morgan Jr., him and his beautiful bride, Kimberly. They were married on yesterday, so congratulations and best wishes to you both. Beautiful ceremony for sure. So let's jump into the goodwill letter. So what is a goodwill letter? You use a goodwill letter if you have been a very good steward over a particular account. So let's say it's a credit card, or it can be a student loan, or maybe even your car loan, and you've been a very good steward over that account. But then one time, or maybe two times, you were actually late, 30 days late on that particular account, and it's showing on your credit bureau. So let's say it's showing on your credit bureau, and it's say it's like November of 2015. So not even 2016, but it's showing on your credit bureau. So we know that that is damaging your credit. 1 30-day late can actually lower your credit score by 30, 40, 50, sometimes 60 points. If it's a mortgage, it could lower your credit score by as much as 100 points. So if you have a late payment, and not like 10 late payments, but if you've got 1 or 2 late payments, then you can write a goodwill letter. And in your goodwill letter, who do you write it to? You don't write it to the credit bureaus. You don't write it to Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. You write your goodwill letter to the creditor. So let's say your creditor was Chase Bank, or your creditor was Bank of America, or your creditor was Regions Bank. Whoever it is, that's who you write your letter to. And simply say this. So, dear Regions. So, dear Regions Bank, I value my account with you, and I value my credit. Prior to my late payment in November of 2015, I was a model customer. I had some personal issues that caused financial strain. I've since recovered both personally and financially, and have been a good steward over this account again. Please consider my request to remove the late payments from my credit report. And then you just say sincerely or thank you, Kevin. So that's a goodwill letter. Here's why this letter is so short. And I'm just saying, man, this is a short letter. It's not an explanation, a lot in it. That's on purpose. I'm of the mind, again, of less is more. 8 sentences or less are most of the letters that I write. I don't believe that you should give them a huge, long explanation because they don't need all that personal information necessarily. And on top of that, nobody is actually going to read all of that. So if you make it short and concise, then it'll work. There's a reason that Twitter only has 140 characters, because if you start writing extra long things on Twitter, then nobody is going to read the actual thing. Think about your personal Facebook account. When you see somebody and you can read it and it says that continue button, maybe you hit the continue button, and then if you hit that continue button and there's 3 more paragraphs, I don't care how close you are to them. I don't care if it's your mother or your brother. Some of the times you're going to say, I'm not going to read all this. I get the gist. So same thing here. We want to keep their attention. We want to say, that we're sorry, show that we're contrite, show that we have recovered from that situation and have been good to them since then, and ask them to remove that. They should take this information and get back to you on that. So you should receive a letter that says, we received your letter. Sorry, we're not going to change that. Or, hey, you're right. You've been a great customer, and we would like to help you out in this regard. You don't have to say, I'm trying to work on my credit because I'm trying to buy a home and all this other stuff. None of that is necessary for you to do that when it comes to this goodwill letter. So that's an example of your goodwill letter. Dear ABC Bank, I value my account with you and my credit. Prior to my late payment in November 2015, I was a model customer. I had some personal issues that caused financial strain. I've since recovered both personally and financially and have been a good steward over this account again or since then. Please consider my request to remove the late payments from my credit report. Sincerely, Kevin King or whoever. So then that's what you should do. Now, when you ask for removal of the late payments at the end of this, you could mention in there and be specific about when that was. So you should know if you're looking at your credit report. You should know, everybody should know where to get your credit report. One is www.annualcreditreport.com. You can get it 3 times a year on a 12-month rolling basis from one from each of the credit bureaus. You can get it there. And then previous show, I told you other ways that you can get your credit report for free from them at www.annualcreditreport.com. So in there, when you're looking at your credit report, it should show you when you were 30 days late. So this person said they were 30 days late in November 2015, then you should place that same date then. If you were late twice, you should put both of those dates in there so they know exactly what you're requesting, and hopefully you can have that removed from your credit report. As mentioned before, if they dropped your credit score by 30 or 40 points, you get that removed and it shows that you were satisfied or you were okay. Or if they just put a U in there on your credit report coming up, U is unreported. That is better for you than having a 30-day late on your credit report. So your credit score may start to go up because of that. So that's the goodwill letter. I really, really hope that helps you out. A lot of people need to write some goodwill letters, especially if it's only been a 1 or 2 times. And it doesn't mean that you only do that to one account. You can do that to a lot of accounts. If it was just 1 time, 2 times that you were late, then you can go ahead and you can write your letter and send it to as many accounts as possible. I wouldn't do too much about the cut and pasting on that, just to make sure that you write it correctly, you state the correct times, you make sure you put the right company name in there, all of those things. So that's what you need to do. Sit down, write your goodwill letter. I think mine was, I said less than 8 sentences. I think this is like 6 sentences. And, it's just that simple. And feel free to write this down, go back to show again and again and again. And so you can get this information down. All right. So look, we have done the goodwill letter. I'm going to pause and do a shout out right here. I want to do a happy birthday shout out to Frank Garrett Jr. Actually, happy birthday to you. Celebrated a birthday earlier this week. So big shout out to you, Frank Garrett. I also want to give a shout out to Kevin Bradley as well. I went to high school with Kevin Bradley. We played baseball together. Me and him used to do the Humpty Dance back in the day while we were on the baseball field. So if I had the ability to play the Humpty Dance, man, I would throw Humpty Dance on for you. So happy birthday to you, Kevin Bradley, as well. All right, so let's jump into the question of the day. We're a little bit early on the question of the day, but let's go ahead and jump into it right now so we can end the show with our two other letters. So the statement of explanation is coming up, and then also we'll talk about your dispute letters as well. So it's time for the question of the day. The question of the day is sponsored by none other than Cute as a Cupcake, Cupcakery and Bake Shop, where the cupcakes are more than just cute. They're delicious. It's located in Maryville, Indiana at 2008 West 81st. Again, that's 2008 West 81st. Cute as a Cupcake in Maryville, Indiana. Get by there and try those cupcakes, you guys. All right, so the question of the day. Question of the day is brought to you by Cute as a Cupcake, like I said. And the person that sent this question she actually texted me, is Fatia Terrell. So she asked, when your credit is pulled, that's an inquiry, you guys, does your score go down? And then if so, why? So she actually sent me this question a couple of weeks ago. It kind of sat on a little bit, of course. I talked to her, told her all about how this should work for you. And I sat on it a little bit, and I decided to use it today on the show. So thanks again, Fatia. I appreciate you contacting me. And let's answer this question for you. So when your credit report is pulled, does your score go down? And yes, in a word, your score is going to go down each and every time you're going to have your credit report pulled for the most part. So typically it's about 2 4, maybe 6 points, it'll go down for you. So a credit pull is called an inquiry, like I mentioned before. It's called an inquiry. Now, there are two types of